Right. Hello, everyone. I am going to do a quick walkthrough of my course. So to begin with, I'm going to explain how OneNote works. On the side here, we're going to see a few different areas. We have the collaboration space. If this was clicked, this is an area where students are able to add any type of content. And you can see here that I have an activity that I will discuss a little bit later on. And so all students are open to adding anything into this page. That's the collaboration space. The content library is where you're going to have all of your content for your course. So because I'm only doing one course right now, I just have one tab here. If I was having my whole class online here, I would have probably a tab for every single subject. And within each tab, there are sub tabs. So it's just like a virtual notebook here. So you have different tabs within each tab. And here I have my course profile, which I'll be going over, my introduction to OneNote, and there's just a link here, a video on how to use OneNote for a classroom. I have important links, and I will be going through the rest of this in a minute. You're also going to see on this left side, teacher only. So if you want to do some extra planning that you don't want the students to see, the students do not see the teacher only tab. And below here, I have one student who's actually a fellow classmate. So it worked out well that I could add him in here. And I did this for the purpose of showing you how to add all of the content to your students' notebooks. So if I had a group of 30 students, all of their names would be here. And I would be able to click in and see the work that they've done. So essentially, the content library would basically just be pushed out into each of the students' notebooks. And then in their own individual notebooks, they are able to finish the work, complete the work, and I can go in directly there and correct the work. So right now, I haven't pushed out any of the course content. I'll show you how to do that right now. So the content library is always there for all students to see. Once I actually push it out, then they are able to go into their notebook and complete the work within it. If it's just sitting in the content library, they aren't able to add anything to it. So I'm going to show you how I would push out the information. So I would go to the content library, see what I would like to push through to their notebook, and then I would be going to class notebook, distribute page. I'm going to do an individual distribution. Taking a little bit to load here. I'm going to choose him as my student. Next. And I could choose where I want it to go into. I'm going to choose course outline, distribute. And within just seconds, I'll be able to go into his notebook and it'll be there. So you can see it shows you once it's actually distributed. So if I was in a classroom and this was a blended classroom, they could view this on the board and they could see that I'm distributing it into their notebooks. So we'll take a peek now. Course outline. And the course profile is there for them to view. So in students' notebooks, they are able to type, they're able to draw, they are able to add annotation. There are many things they're able to do, and I will show you that as I do my walkthrough. So going into the content library, let's actually start here and go through and see what I have for my first module. So I'm going to start off with my course profile. We'll do a quick run through here. So my overview is it is going to be a novel study for The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. This is meant to be for grade 5, about 10 years of age, and this would run for probably about 2 months. So this is designed to be a blended experience, meaning that this could be in class, and this would the online components would be done within class and could also be done at home. However, it definitely lends itself to being fully asynchronous at home. That could be easily done with just a few tweaks, or it could be fully in person with the online component just as an additive to the in-person learning. So we have our outcomes here and our guiding questions. You can obviously go through yourself and read all this. So for EAL students or for people who have kind of special needs when they're learning, you can have the option of doing an audiobook as opposed to just doing paperback. What I would like to see is that all the students would have the actual novel at home or in class, but would also be using some audiobook for this. But it could be fully done with audiobook without even having the paper copy. Assessment, I'm thinking there will be a few different assessments throughout, but all the assessment can be done directly through OneNote on the teacher's end. We are able to see every notebook, and it's really handy with my school laptop. We have styluses. With the stylus, you can actually mark directly, give check marks and circle things and write directly on your laptop, which is amazing. Okay, so let's jump into it. Like I said, I have an introduction video here of how to use OneNote if that's something that you would like to look at. Okay, so important links. This is going to be there for the students to see just different links that we will be using throughout the course. The very first one here is the audiobook, and this is a YouTube version, and it goes through each chapter really well. So that's there for the students. And then we have a Clever portal, which has a bunch of links through our division that students don't even need to do their sign in. They just click and it'll bring them in. And then here are a few other links that we'll be using throughout. Okay, so for module 1, we have pre-reading questions. So the students would see these questions. They are able to, in their own notebooks, just add their responses here. And then I would be able to go in and also add my corrections to their responses. We then have a little introduction to the author. So as you can see in OneNote, you're able to insert images, you're able obviously to insert text, hyperlinks. And so you can also add little boxes that they can check off to show that they have done the work. So we have a video here that the students would watch after reading a little bit. And after learning a little bit about C.S. Lewis, fill out the KWL chart below. So once they complete that, they just check off. And all they have to do is double click and they can type here. They can respond and it'll show up right there. So it's very easy to work with. And here I'm giving them the link to add a Flipgrid response on a question that they have for the author after learning about a bit of his history and a bit about his career. So going on to the next section of module 1, I called this activity judging a book by its cover. So they have 3 different covers of Chronicles of Narnia, and they are going to answer the questions below here. Again, they can just type their responses right in the boxes. Okay, and then the activity to follow this is they're going to be choosing a novel that they have read, and then they're going to assess the ways in which they could change or improve the cover. They're going to design their own cover. It can be done digitally or with paper and art supplies. When they're finished, they're going to attach the original cover and the new and improved rendition and write a brief explanation defending the ways in which they chose to change their cover from the original. And then I also said here for them to be prepared to share their album cover in small groups with your peers. And we will also be sharing our album covers in the collaboration space. So if they did theirs digitally, all they would have to do is insert file as attachment, and they're in Microsoft Word or PowerPoint or whatever they use would just be directly here, and I could click it and open it. They could also insert a picture. So if they took a picture of the original cover or of the cover they did themselves, they would just be able to insert it here. And then here's also where we could use the collaboration space. So I added a tab here saying novel covers, and I just showed you that I inserted one here. They could essentially all insert it all on one page. Oops. And then I could bring it up onto the board and we would be able to look at it on the board and see everyone's covers all together at once. Okay, so going back, that is the novel cover activity. And then the 4th section of the first module is a book preview. So book review of these trailers. So they are going to be watching both of these trailers, which are student made, and they're going to answer some questions about these trailers. And on this page, I'm actually asking them to answer these questions, not typing, but with an audio recording. So I did a little audio recording here to show them, and I'm going to click this so we can hear it.
For these questions, I'd like you to answer with a voice recording. To insert your voice recording, click Insert and click Audio. Right when you click it, it will start recording. When you're done, just press Stop.
So it's nice and easy to add those audio recordings, and I think that's a great adaptation for students who do better with verbal responses as opposed to writing. At the bottom here, I have a little space for them to add questions that they have about the novel. And finally, going into module number 2, I'm just showing you what I've added here. I haven't added much yet, but for example, you can insert a Microsoft Word document, and the students can simply click and answer below the questions. So that is my course shell and my first module. I hope you enjoyed it, and please feel free to give me some critical feedback, because that is how we learn. Thank you. Oh, there we go.